Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a really specific tax situation that could easily be worth $500. We're talking about claiming the credit for other dependents when your family member doesn't have a social security number but can get an ITIN. So let's break it all down.
Right off the bat, let's figure out if you're in the right place. Are you supporting a dependent? Maybe it's a child, a parent, or another relative who isn't eligible for a social security number? If you're nodding your head yes, then stick around because this is for you.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds a little bit. You've probably heard of the Child Tax Credit, the CTC. It's a really big deal for families. But here's the catch. To claim that credit, your child absolutely must have a social security number. If they only have an ITIN, that's an individual taxpayer identification number, well, the child tax credit is completely off the table. And that is exactly where our hero, the Credit for Other Dependents, or ODC, steps in. And you should know, this isn't some ancient rule that's always been there. Nope. This social security number requirement for the child tax credit, it only kicked in for the 2018 tax year, and it's set to run through 2025. So this recent change is what created this huge roadblock for so many families. And honestly, it's caused a ton of confusion. So if the main door is locked, what do? Well, you find another way in. And that way is the Credit for Other Dependents, or as we'll call it, the ODC. This credit was literally designed to fill that gap, to cover dependents who just don't qualify for the bigger, more well-known child tax credit. It is the specific solution for this exact problem. So what are we talking about money-wise? The ODC is a non-refundable credit worth up to $500 for each person who qualifies. Now, non-refundable just means it can wipe out your tax bill down to zero, but you won't get any of it back as a cash refund. Still, knocking $500 off of what you owe the IRS, that's a pretty big win. So who exactly qualifies for this? It's actually pretty simple. First, they can't be eligible for the child tax credit. I mean, that's the whole point, right? And second, they have to be a U.S. citizen, a U.S. national, or a U.S. resident alien. And remember, this can cover more than just your kids with ITINs. It can also be other relatives you're supporting, like an elderly parent living with you. Okay, now this is where things get really interesting, because the rules for even getting an ITIN for a dependent have changed. It's not automatic anymore. You actually have to prove that your dependent gives you a specific, recognized tax benefit. This link right here is the absolute core of what we need to understand. And here's the key phrase the IRS uses: an allowable tax benefit. You can think of this as the gatekeeper to getting an ITIN. See, just listing a dependent on your tax return, that's no longer considered a benefit by itself. They have to actually unlock something for you, something concrete, like a tax credit or a better filing status. And this is the bottom line. It's a direct cause and effect relationship. If you can't show the IRS that there's an allowable tax benefit, they simply will not issue an ITN for your dependent. It's that simple. The benefit has to justify getting the number. So what counts as a real benefit? Well, look no further. The Credit for Other Dependents is a perfect example, and that's why it's highlighted here. It's right on the official list, next to other things like claiming head of household or taking certain education credits. This is so important. Claiming the ODC is the key that unlocks the door to applying for the ITIN.
Okay, so we've got the what and we've got the why. Now let's talk about the how. Assembling your application package correctly is everything. You have to submit your tax return and the ITIN application at the exact same time. Let's walk through the path.
It really boils down to 4 clear steps. 1. You get your main tax return, the Form 1040, all filled out. 2. You complete Form W7, which is the actual application for the ITIN. 3. You gather up all your supporting documents, and we're going to talk about a really important one in just a second. And 4, you mail everything, the 1040, the W7, the documents, all together in one single package. Please do not file them separately. Now listen up, because this is a non-obvious detail that trips up a lot of people. For a normal ITIN application, you usually just have to prove identity and foreign status. But when you are specifically claiming the ODC, the IRS throws in an extra requirement. And that extra hoop is proving that your dependent is a U.S. resident. This is a specific rule tied directly to the ODC. Now, there are a couple of rare exceptions, like for military families stationed overseas. But for almost everyone listening, you are going to need to provide documents. Think school records, medical bills, that prove your dependent actually lives in the United States. All right, let's talk about the single biggest, and to be honest, the easiest mistake you can make in this entire process. It's a tiny little detail, often hidden in your tax software, that can get your whole application thrown out. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct warning from the IRS instructions themselves. They are telling you loud and clear, your tax software is pretty smart, but when it sees a dependent with no ID number yet, it often gets scared and won't automatically check the box to claim the ODC. And you know why? Because from the software's point of view, you haven't proven you're eligible for that credit yet.
So this is the absolute key takeaway. You have to go in and manually make sure that the credit for other dependents box right there next to your dependent's name on Form 1040 is checked. That one little click is how you tell the IRS reviewer, hey, I'm claiming the allowable tax benefit that makes this whole ITIN application valid. If you forget to do this, the entire package is dead on arrival. So let's pull all of this together into one simple, straightforward checklist. Think of this as your game plan to get this done right the very first time.
Okay, let's run through it. First, the task is filing your tax return. The key form is your 1040. And the critical detail? You guessed it, check the ODC box. Second, the task is applying for the ITIN. The key form is the W-7, and the critical detail is that you have to attach it to your 1040. And finally, the task is proving your case. You'll need your documentation, and the critical detail is that for the ODC, this must include proof of U.S. residency. And that really brings us to the final question. If you follow these steps and you understand these kind of tricky rules, you can successfully claim a credit that you are absolutely entitled to. The process has some hurdles for sure, but now that you know what they are you really gonna let a potential $500 just slip away?